All right, boys and girls, we are in for a treat on today's interview, on this session, with my good new friend, Kevin Markarian. I got introduced to Kevin by one of our all-time Summit favorites, Sharon Srivatsa. You guys have been watching him since Get Listing Summit #1. And as always, I reached out to Sharon. I was like, hey, if this was your summit, who would you want on the summit? Who would you have to have? And Kevin was immediately at the top of that list. And so I'm glad to report that I got a chance to connect with Kevin, and here we are. Who's Kevin? A little bit about Kevin. Kevin is the founder of Markarian.com. He's been in the business for years. Last year, him and his team did about 170 transactions out in the San Francisco Bay Area market. Average price point, $900,000 a property, so the volume is healthy. And then also, he's now growing Marker Real Estate itself as well. And also now, him and a partner have taken over an awesome Facebook group called Real Closers. Heck, you might be in it. It's one of the biggest Facebook groups around for real estate agents. So just to help you out, I've linked to both of those below this video. So right below this video, there's a link to Real Closers, the Facebook group. You should definitely go join that and check that out. They're doing awesome things in there and more things planned and coming down the content pipeline. Also linked below this video is to their page to their careers page on markerrealestate.com, which again, you can check out at markerrealestate.com if you're listening. If you're watching the video, click on the link below. It'll take you to their careers page. The reason I want you to check that out is because of this. If you're building a real estate career as a team, and you're maybe thinking about starting your own brokerage or kind of, growing that way, that's exactly what Kevin has done, right? He was a solo agent, then built a team, and then turned in his own brokerage. So if you want to reach out to give him a big thank you for this interview afterwards personally, or to ask him questions, that's where you should go. All right. With that said, Kevin, welcome to the Get Listing Summit, my man. So glad to have you with us.
Andre, it's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to talk with you and to all the great listeners that you have.
And I'm excited about the topic because when you and I connected, we talked about a few different potential topics. And I asked you, what are some of the ways that you guys are making, and you especially personally, but then you as a culture at Marker Real Estate, how are you guys making an impact on agents that are joining your guys' brokerage, right? And one of the things that came out of that conversation, he's just like, well, one of the things that has been a big game changer for agents that are coming to our universe, into our world, is that you guys have a marketing strategy that they can be seen as a real estate authority and influencer, like in any community at any price point within 90 days. And I was like, you know what? With all the competition that's out there, especially like the iBuyer stuff, right? Open Door and all the different things that are happening in discount brokerages, I think real estate agents need to hear how to do that more than ever, right? Because that's really the key differentiator. I think one of the ways that an agent can differentiate and compete against all these new types of competitors and pressures is to be seen as the authority and the go-to. So, before we dive into how to do that process, which again, I've been super excited to ask you about and I'm excited to hear about today, I want to ask, what was going on in your personal real estate career or when you were building a team that kind of drove you to figure out how to put this together and make this marketing process work, right? What was happening? Maybe you had some competition, maybe it was market shifting, but how did this come about, right? How did you come up with this and start like perfecting it and refining it?
Sure. So it really started from when I first got into building Marker and started building it. Before starting Marker, I started with a team, really leveraged online leads. I started working with online leads back in 2006. And this is like this is like in the early days of Zillow, in the early days of, Realtor.com wasn't even doing, online lead generation really in terms of providing leads to agents. And so
that was like the glory days of Google pay-per-click. You could get leads for like $5.
Totally. Yeah. It was going really, really well. And so I was living in the Central Valley of California before I moved to San Francisco. And I moved to San Francisco not knowing a single person. I just completely hit the reset button on my career. And it was because the market had crashed. It was 2008. And the Central Valley of California was the epicenter of the foreclosure crisis. Okay. So I was like, okay, things aren't going well here. Let me take a chance and move to San Francisco. I'm already doing the lead stuff, right? I was already generating leads at the time. I had an okay system that's been, significantly refined since. But my point is, it started through utilizing leads when really not a whole lot of people were doing that, especially surprisingly, in San Francisco in 2008, I mean, online lead generation at that time was like a frontier. People weren't really leveraging it, and people didn't really understand it. People were worried about like these portals taking leads off of their agents' listings and selling them back to agents. Like that's always been the conversation, right?
Gotcha.
At that time, there weren't a lot of people doing that. And so what it allowed me to do when I moved to San Francisco, not knowing a single person, it allowed me to level the playing field with top agents, top performers in any neighborhood, any market, any city. I could go and really just purchase leads, and I was able to be more visible than some of the most highly producing agents in any particular market at any given time. What's my point? So now online leads is like, I mean, everyone's on that, right? Everyone's utilizing leads. Everyone's generating clients digitally now, right?
Right.
So the difference now is with social media, that now has become the place where anyone can go and level the playing field, because I'll be willing to bet in a lot of markets out there, a surprisingly very small percentage of agents are actually leveraging social media the way that they really could be leveraging it to become the authority in any particular market. So what I did is I took that platform that I was already using with leads and really duplicated it and started utilizing the same methods, utilizing social media and also in other digital platforms. But it's allowed us now, because some of the really successful agents in some markets, they're not really leveraging it the way they should. And so I can get in, anyone can get in and become the authority, as long as, I mean, even if there are other people doing it, there's really not a huge amount of competition right now. So, that's kind of how it all stemmed. And it's been going really, really well. And we've really just made a big impact in numerous markets around the country, really.
Gotcha. So what was happening? So what was working as a kind of a playing field leveler or an equalizer back in 2008 is now filled with a lot of competition. And so now what the new equalizer is, you're saying, is being able to use social media the right way. And now what you were able to do back in 2008, 2009, 2010, agents can repeat now with social media in 2019. Gotcha. Okay. So, let's say I'm a real estate agent. I join Marker Real Estate and you start coaching me. Okay, here's your 90-day game plan, Andre. Here's what you're going to do to be seen as a real estate authority in this market that you've chosen. Walk me through it. How do I do it?
Well, the very first step is we really should be focusing on like the low-hanging fruit. That's like a phrase that's used all the time. But the people that we know, the people that that we have the most access to, those are people in our sphere, right? So, I mean, would you agree, Andre, that probably the people that in your sphere are probably everyone that you have inside your phone?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everyone that knows you know everyone that knows you. So what we do is first step, very simple. We use this one app called MC Backup. Very, very easy. It's like $2. You download this app. You're able, through that app, you can export all of your contacts out of your phone within 30 seconds. You take that list. Now you have all your contacts. Plug it into the back end of Facebook and create a custom audience. And then what we do as a company, as a brokerage for agents that join our team, we have templates of campaigns like marketing ads or posts that we'll create specifically for that particular agent. And we start creating ads or posting within Facebook so that you can start becoming visible inside of, through your sphere of influence. That's step number one. I mean, and then in terms of like email campaigns, we're using very simple like MailChimp drip campaign. I'm just talking about your sphere. So we have like long-term campaigns where we're staying in front of people for a long period of time. And then very easy. I mean, this is like simple stuff, but it works really well. Take the contacts out of, like, you could take, let's say, an expired list. We can find those lists through various sources, right? It's not really hard to find. And find expireds that have people that homes that have expired over the last 5 years, from 5 years to present, or you can go even further. Any particular area, farm, whatever neighborhood that you want to start targeting, and take those contacts, extract them, create a custom audience in Facebook there, and start targeting on Facebook as well. And so that's like, those are just some really simple things that anyone can do. It's not expensive at all. And then just having the consistency with regards to staying in front of people, not only on Facebook, but also, I mean, we could, like what we do as a company, if we're talking about as a company, we have a call center. We're reaching out to people. We always reach out to, like, we'll reach out to someone's sphere for them if they allow us to, and let them know that a change has been made. They're moving to a new company, so on and so forth. And so we do those kinds of things for agents that join our team. And then the same thing with regards to campaigns. If you have, of course, authorization to reach out to these people via email, we send out, email messaging, and just really just staying in front of people for a long period of time, and just kind of being everywhere all the time. So, just kind of a long-term consistent campaign where we're just digitally in front of people. And if we can pick up the phone and call, great. We do those things on behalf of our agents as a brokerage, but I'm talking like to an individual agent right now, if they're listening, like you can do it yourself. I mean, you don't necessarily need to have anyone do it for you. You can do all these things yourself. But you asked me specifically what we're doing as a broker for our agents. We're doing all these things for them. Got it. Telling them how to do it as well. So it's
let me jump in and ask you a few quick questions here before I forget them. So for an agent who's doing it on their own, and if you want to share your numbers, that'd be great. But if not, that's okay. How much would an agent expect to spend on these retargeting campaigns per month? Like, what's a good budget? Like when you sit down and you're planning it out, what's a minimum spend? I should say.
You can get away with a very small amount, a couple dollars, $5 a day.
Oh, geez, really? That low?
Yeah. Doesn't
take much then.
Doesn't take much at all. No.
Because you're targeting just basically the people in your contacts.
Yeah, you're targeting people in your contacts. I mean, you can, if you have people that then these are all, you just want to make sure you're following the proper guidelines in terms of rules and everything like that. But, you can send out text messages. There are lots of different sources out there, like Lion Desk, like Call Action, like Agent Legend, where you can import, your sphere of influence and send out a text message and just let them know where you're at, what you're doing. And really, a lot of times it doesn't always have to be business related, right? And you think about sphere, it's important to connect with those people delicately, right? We don't want to turn people away, relationships that we have. So, the approach can be more of a relationship type of approach, right? I mean, just reach out and just say, sorry for not reaching out, sorry for not connecting with you in a long time. I just want to see how things are going. And naturally, if you start a conversation, naturally people ask kind of like what you're doing for business, what you're doing for work, how's your family, so on and so forth, and really just create an organic conversation that can turn into a business transaction. And it's really not about like heavy closing, right? Like I'm not necessarily looking to get someone to list their home with me on the first conversation, and they may never do that. But it's really just about, there's a phrase that I heard somebody said a long time ago, and it stuck with me. And it's not about who you know, it's about who you know that knows what you do. So I just want to make sure people know what you do, and it doesn't always have to be like a business kind of conversation, right? So as long as they know what you're doing, and you don't even have to say it sometimes. Like with our Facebook campaigns, when we're sending messages out, we don't always have a call to action, and it could also be something personal. It could be, volunteering somewhere. It could be talking to someone about something not related to real estate, but as long as they can see, like on your profile, that you're a realtor, they're going to associate that when the time comes that they're thinking about doing something. And it's just really about staying in front of people, remaining top of mind with them, and doing it sort of with finesse and with respect to your relationship. So I think a lot of agents too, when we talk to them, feel apprehensive about like reaching out to their sphere, stuff like that. And I understand that, because with the whole thing with, hurting relationships. And so I think it can be done in a way that is effective, and also with respect to your relationship, so you don't kind of come off as that like salesperson.
Right.
So I think that's important, and we've been able to do that, and it's worked really, really well.
Very cool. What do you recommend putting in the ads that you would target out to your sphere of influence once you're doing a custom audience on Facebook, right? Well, what are you putting in the ads? Are you doing videos? Are you doing like talking head, like, like, hey, this is Andre, just want to let you know, I'm doing real estate now, like a little short clip? Or are you putting ads to something else? Like, well, what are you doing? What are you giving me an example, like 2-3 examples of what you're doing in these ads that's working?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I think it's good to mix it up.
Okay. I figured, right? Because on Facebook, you want to rotate fresh content, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise it gets stale and old.
Yeah. And I think you can mix in personal too, right?
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't always have to be business related, but I think one thing that we're doing that's working really well, and I'm really excited about right now, there's a couple of agents at Marker at our office that are doing it. And that is going and interviewing influencers inside of your neighborhood. For example, if you're in a particular, let's say a town or a city, and one thing that, if you think about like, who are the heroes? Who's someone that people want to listen to? And who's someone that probably doesn't get reached out to often by real estate people? So some of the things that we've been doing is like reaching out to the local principal at the school, and asking them if they'd like to get on and just talk about their school. Reaching out to the local fire chief or firefighter, talking about, what they do, what their day looks like. Reaching out to a local police chief. So, reaching out to local kind of heroes or celebrities or people that are influencers, and showcasing them and just talking with them about, the neighborhood, the community, what's happening, what should we be kind of looking for, what's important to them, what's important to people that they talk to inside the community. So a lot of things are happening there. One is you're obviously, you're providing value to the community. You're providing information and content that probably is not seen directly. Like, who sees the fire chief every day, right? Who gets to hear from them? So like, you're providing content that's unique. You're providing value, and you're also, on the other side of it, you're connecting with some very, like, let's face it, like powerful people inside of your community. So not only are you able to then maybe generate some referrals, but you can also, I mean, it's good to know those kinds of people, but one thing we've been able to leverage is then now you build a relationship with, let's say, the local fire person or the principal, then you can maybe leverage that and get in front of the entire like school, all the teachers, everyone there, and do a presentation for them. So it just kind of one thing leads to another, but that's something that we've been doing that I'm really excited about. I know a lot of people also talk about, getting in front of business owners and doing interviews with them.
Okay.
I think that's cool. I think that's something that's been talked about, and people are kind of already doing that. But I don't see many people.
Well, it's talked about by some people, but I think not enough people. I mean, so this. So few agents are actually out doing it, though, man. You know what I mean?
True.
I think everything you're describing, like, I think it's wide open frontier. Yeah, I think you used that phrase earlier. Like, internet leads used to be the wild, the frontier back in 2008. What you're describing now, it's the frontier, right? So much, it's a land grab. Like, just walk out there and start doing it, and you'll be probably the only. Chances are you'll probably be the only real estate agent doing it, right? In your market, in your community.
100%. And here's what's important: is let's say you're trying to break into a farm or a market, and there's like, I'd be willing to bet, probably, I'll just be conservative, 7 out of 10 top number one agents in any particular area is not doing this. Like, I'm being
they're doing geo farming, direct postcards, old school,
right?
Yeah,
and that's conservative. So if, let's say you interview the principal at the local school in the farm and neighborhood that you are in, and you say, here's the next couple months enrollment or whatever, I don't know, people are interested in, right? But you do that, and then you send out an email blast to all the people, everyone in that particular area, and say, hey, I just interviewed the principal of this school, check it out or whatever. And if you want more information, let me know. I can set up I don't know, like, but there's a lot that you can do with that, right? And you can then become visible. Then now that's what it's all about. It's like top of mind. Why do people put up billboard ads? Like, I'm not a fan of billboard ads, right?
Right.
But the idea is they want to be visible, right? They want to be visible. It's not about who you know. It's about who you know that knows what you do, right? So, and if you want to get in front of the audience that you're most interested in, provide information that audience wants, right? Or is that's relevant to them. So I think
one of the things, sorry, I just want to interject. You reminded me of something. So years ago, I used to do this little service for real estate agents because I did it for a real estate vendor for a while and it worked really well. But I was like, this works better for agents if they got it themselves. What I would do is I would send out a postcard to, now this is old school, but this is going similar to what you're talking about. I would send out a postcard to a neighborhood and name the neighborhood in the postcard. So it's super hyper, right? Super hyper local, super hyper focused. And what I would say is something like, 3 changes the city of Bothell is making that's going to affect home prices in West Hill. And like the neighborhood name is West Hill. Well, when a homeowner looks at that, what's the first thing they think of? Sun's up, beep. Like, how's this going to affect my home price? What's the city up to now, right? Yeah. And so the offer on the postcard was a free report. Well, check this out. So I used to be a project engineer for a construction company in a former lifetime years ago, right? Every city, every town has like a city planning website, right? Like what they're doing to like make new construction, add to the town, whatever, like how are they expanding this town? It's all public information. Well, what I would do for this marketing thing is I would go and it's right there on the website, like what they're planning to do for the next year. And I would just take summarized bullet points like a Huffington Post article and put into a 3-page PDF. People would download that report. But it's me now updating them or the real estate agent updating them on what's happening in their city. Now, here's what I would tell agents. You just go back to that website once a month, look for the updates, put them in a PDF and email that out to your audience, right? And not one agent in your entire market is doing this. And you're going to be seen as the guy or gal that's like plugged into how the city's growing, right? Like it's all free right there. Nobody's just taking it. And people don't know to go to the city planning website and read through tons of plans and all that. Anyway, you're sharing this and I'm thinking like, if I was a real estate agent right now and I want to take over a neighborhood or an area, I'd go interview every city planning and like local person, ask them like, what are you doing with downtown? What are you doing with this intersection? What are you doing over here with this part of town? And I would start putting that out. How long would it take me to be seen as the guy that knows everything about what's happening in town with real estate?
That's a gret idea. It wouldn't be long. Would not be long at all. And here's
I'd be curious to see if any of your agents tried it. Just, there's your $1,000, $1 million idea right there, Kevin.
I love it. And I think it's great. I'm going to take it back. And I think that's a great idea. I think with that, first of all, I'm not saying don't do postcards. Like I'd say. Yeah.
Okay. I hear you.
Continue to use them. Like, I think it's great.
Combine them.
And
right. Is that what you're saying? Combine them.
You can totally combine them. If it's within your budget, absolutely. And you can even promote the interview inside with those postcards. In addition to, like, let's say you talk about, here's what's going on, city planning, find out what's happening in your neighborhood. This new road is going to be here and it's going to impact values this way or that way. By the way, we're interviewing the local city councilman or woman that is passing this, wants to pass this bill.
Right. That's genius.
Yeah. So
because you can put a picture of them and then yourself on a postcard and say, go to this website to watch the free interview.
Yeah.
And then you can pixel that landing page for Facebook retargeting.
Dude.
That's genius.
And then, of course, the person, I would think that the city council person or whoever it is would want that promotion as well.
Yeah, they're going to share it.
And then check it out. What if we got them to two opposing candidates to debate on your Facebook page?
Like that. Yeah, at a local level, I bet that'd be easier than you think.
I would think so. I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, we haven't done that, but that's just an idea. Just
Sure.
Last time we had a conversation, there was ideas just popping through my head.
Yeah.
So the same thing, but yeah, I mean, these are just some things that we're doing, and it's working out. It's working out really well.
Well, I could just imagine. Okay, first off, parents, right? When it comes to your kids, it's like the most important thing in your life, right? I forget. Do you have kids?
Yeah, I have.
You have kids. Okay.
I have 2 boys and a daughter.
Oh, congratulations, man. I thought we talked about that. Maybe we didn't. Okay, so you got kids. If whatever neighborhood you live in, if you got it, everything you're telling me, like if I sent out a postcard and they had a picture of the school teacher principal, right? School principal on it, and it said Principal Matthews, right? Whatever, talking about et cetera, school, free video, free interview. I bet you would take that and go watch it.
Sure.
For whatever the school that your kids are going to, you know what I mean?
If I want to go to take my kids to that school and I'm deciding between that school and another one, why?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I would watch that.
That's
And
almost like probably going to be like a 70% conversion rate for people to go watch the content. But then you're on camera talking to the person, so they see you.
yeah, and then you can provide some sort of a lead magnet or something at the end of it and say,
Right.
hey, by the way, I'm a real estate professional. If you want information on this or that,
Yeah.
enter your info here, whatever. Um,
Genius.
and another thing is, like, I think a lot of times we, outside of finding people to do interviews with, we sometimes think, where am I going to get my content from? So I think,
Right.
I think providing educational information is good. Like lists are good, like top 3 reasons why you should do this, or top 3 reasons why you shouldn't do that, top 5 reasons why. So obviously we're talking about video a lot here, but you can also do that through email blasts. You could do this through postcards. You could do this through a lot of different avenues of distribution. But if you're thinking about content, so one of the challenges that we have is like, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to say? So there's a site, I'm not sure if you know about it, you probably do, called Answer the Public, answerthepublic.com.
I've just started recently hearing about it. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really cool site. You can go to this site and you can type in, any search term or any city and find out what people are searching for online. Like you can find out what people are actually typing into Google to find out about. Like, let's say you put San Francisco real estate.
Right.
You can see what the questions are that people are asking. So you take those questions and you create content around it. And those are questions that people are already asking, so it's relevant. And then you just target, the particular audience that you're focusing on, and you've got some good information there for them to look at.
Hold on, I'm actually typing it in right now. Give me a second. This is fun to see. Give it a second. Oh, it's coming up with its answers. I was like, if it pops up and works for me and it doesn't take too long, I'll do a little screen share and show it just so people can get an example. There we go. Oh, this is fantastic. Okay, I'm going to share my screen real quick so we can show it to people. You'll be able to see my screen too.
Cool.
Do you see my screen, Kevin?
Yep, I see it.
Yeah. So I just searched Sacramento. So this is the site that Kevin just told us about, answerthepublic.com. I just searched Sacramento real estate. That was my phrase. And it's basically doing some like category stuff, I guess it looks like, I guess that's like how words are broken down in the human language. But down here, there's like way more stuff. So like real estate for sale, Sacramento, fabulous 40s. Yeah, by the way, fabulous 40s, if I was to be a full-time agent in real estate here in Sacramento, that's the market I want to dominate. Sacramento, yeah, very cool.
So
yeah, you're right.
Andre, scroll back up real quick. I just want to point something out. So
here or to the top one?
Go to the top, the previous one. So
okay.
There's less info here, but I think there's some good info here. So you can see if you go up just a little bit more. So it's like, how is the Sacramento real estate market, or is Sacramento real estate headed for a bust?
Yeah,
that's a perfect title. You could say, is the Sacramento real estate market
headed for a bust, and just put question mark.
And then people are gonna, right? And that's like a catchy title, and you can get all the content that you need, the content ideas that you need right here, and it's what people actually are asking. And
so I could shoot a 2-3 minute video once a week on a subject just off of this, and then do it for my sphere of influence retargeting campaign on Facebook, the way you were talking about uploading from your phone, right?
Absolutely. If you do a video, put it on YouTube, put it on Facebook, send out an email blast with the same information. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you can create a site. I mean, there's just like so much that you can do, but I
absolutely love it. This is so valuable. All right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. In this 90-day plan, right, this 90-day process of being seen as an authority, what would you say are like what's the minimum of volume of effort that you got to put out, right? Like you can't just like put out one video and then sit back on your butt and think that things are going to happen, right? Like what's the minimum effort that I think you would say an agent has to put out? Like how many pieces of content? Just kind of minimum, like what should be the activity or effort be over 90 days?
Well, to put it in perspective, I heard something about Gary Vaynerchuk, who I think he puts out like 100 pieces of content every day. Every day.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I mean, I think it just depends on how aggressive you want to be. Like last month we sent out like 225,000 emails. We're posting content every day. So if you're an agent and you want to kind of put yourself out there, if you do like one video a week or 1 or 2 videos a week, I would say post something on your Facebook page once a day. It doesn't have to be like a answer the public content,
right?
Piece, right? It could just post something, and then maybe do like an interview like once every 2 weeks. So we've got the plan. I can share it with you guys if you want.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, well then we'll link to that below the interview.
Okay. So it's just really about being everywhere all the time, and with regards to email campaigns, so we use MailChimp. BombBomb's another good one, but with MailChimp, so it's really about finding the audience, finding who's most interested in what you have to say, and then say more stuff to those people, right? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll take a general list of people that we want to send a message out to. Okay. Then on the back end of MailChimp, you can track how many times people have opened those emails. You can see if somebody's opened an email once, twice, 3 times. Like for example with BombBomb, if you send out a video, you can see how long they spent on that video. So I can see if they watched the entire thing. I can see they watched the first 10 seconds. So why is this important? I mean, we've sent out videos on BombBomb where people have watched like 26 times in an hour, like a short video, 30 seconds or something, right? So there's a pretty good chance that person is interested in what you have to say, right?
Right.
They're watching your video 26 times in an hour. So then what we'll do is we'll start to narrow down the list. And so let's say you have 1,000 people or say 10,000 people, and you send out a blast, and now you've narrowed down to people that have opened your email more than once. That list is like, let's say 3,000, right? So now I've got a list of 3,000 that has interest in what I have to say. I'm going to retarget those people and send them another message that has some relevance to what the previous message had to say, and so on, right? So then now you have 3,000. Let's say out of that 3,000, you get 1,500 that have opened more than once, that have expressed interest, that have engaged in what you have to say. Either they've clicked or they've gone to your site or whatever. And now you narrow it down again and continue the process. And at some point, of course, it's not just about, messaging or whatever. I mean, it's really also about getting in front of people too. So at some point you can pick up the phone and call, right? And by the time they hear from you, they've seen you so much that it's really just a warm conversation, right? I mean,
yeah.
And with regards to targeting and not only with clients, but with agents, when we're recruiting, by the time, we're getting people that are reaching out to us at this point, right? So and by the time that they get to us, they already know what we're doing. They know what we're about. They know our messaging. They know our culture. They know, a lot about our company. They know more sometimes about what we're doing than I do. Like they see a video or something. So it's really about finding the people that are most engaged with what you have to say. And by the time they get to you, it's over. I mean, it's such an easy transition from that point, from someone that you've maybe talked to 3 years ago to someone that's ready to do business with you.
That's something that I want to kind of talk around for just a little bit, just for a minute, talk about for just a quick minute. I think you say it, people hear it and they're like, oh yeah, I understand what he's saying. But do you really understand what Kevin is saying? Really think about that. Like, Kevin, I don't think enough agents quite grasp that unless they really experience it, that there's a way to do marketing, and you guys are clearly doing it for your team, right? For your team and for the agency and you guys' brokerage. But there's a way to do marketing where you're not smiling and you're not constantly just only smiling and dialing, getting the phone hung up on you, or people don't know who you are or anything, or circle prospecting. And like you're saying, don't stop doing postcards. I'm not necessarily saying stop circle prospecting, but for $5 a day, $10 a day, it's possible to build up so much top of mind awareness with just unique, easy, non-slick, really authentic, organic content where people really feel like they freaking know you. Like you could literally just drop a pin in a neighborhood or a zip code and just constantly keep putting content out into it. As you're saying this, I bet if I did this just as a joke, as a test in a neighborhood around here, just to see, I bet I could start walking to coffee shops in that neighborhood and people would know me. Think about it, right? If I publish a new video a week, interviewing somebody, saying something, hey, do you think the real estate Sacramento market is about to bust, right? And like talking on camera about it for 2 minutes, guaranteed, anywhere I go in that neighborhood, people be like, hey, Andre.
100%.
Right?
It happens.
Easy.
Like to agents.
Now, how long would you have to circle prospect, postcard mail, door knock, and never get that?
Right. And with that, it's a very broad group that you're prospecting to. With what we're talking about, when you're retargeting and you can see the data, I can see where they've opened my email 10 times.
Right.
They've watched my video 7 times. Right. And you just continue to retarget those people, and it becomes a smaller and more refined list. But like you said, those people become your followers. And what we talked about earlier with regards to leveling the playing field. So this is what was happening with online leads for me in San Francisco in 2008, because the top agents weren't utilizing online leads, and I was more visible than they were in their own market because I was digitally, more visible than them. Right. And so it's the same thing with this now. You become the authority. You become the influencer. You become the person that's they connect to that particular area through your interviews, and you become an authority. Why? Because you're providing them with information that is valuable. Like you're telling them, these are the stats. This is what's going on. Like I'm talking to the police chief. Right. So and it just becomes a very warm, kind of weird to say, but digital relationship. It's like watching a podcast. Like if you follow a particular podcast,
you start to feel like you have a relationship with that person, even though they don't know you at all.
Exactly. You kind of know what they're going to say, what their style, their approach.
Right.
When you see them, it's like, it's you feel like you already know them, and that's what's happening with us, because we're doing this so much that by the time that we talk to someone, they already know about our company. They know what we're doing. Like when we're bringing agents on board, like with the team leader thing that we're doing, we're helping team leaders come on and we're helping them grow their businesses, and they see all the things we're doing. So by the time they come over, it's like, oh yeah, what about, that the thing you do with Facebook, or what about the thing you do with those text messages? And they're like reminding me of the stuff that we already do,
Right.
So that's what can happen for any agent in any market. If they follow these steps, they can become that authority. And before you know it, these clients are coming up to you and asking you for information, and then ultimately asking you to do business with them.
It's just incredible, the power of video and a few dollars to Facebook. You can literally start creating bonded relationships. You can start building rapport with people at scale 24/7, 365.
Absolutely.
Right? Video is the next best thing to face-to-face.
Yeah.
Right? And if you keep popping up over and over again, I was talking about this, I think, with Dean Aguilar. He was talking a little bit about video, and I was saying, there's this principle in marketing where if somebody keeps seeing you over and over and over again, they start associating you as a friend subconsciously. Why? Because who do you see repeatedly? Friends and family.
Yeah.
And colleagues, right? Like those people. So your brain, the pattern, I think the kludge or the wiring in the brain that happens is that, well, if I'm seeing this person over and over and over again, they're a friend of some sort.
Yeah.
And so subconsciously, you just kind of slip, you kind of just get in that slipstream, and they see you as a friend, I think.
Yeah. I mean, and then it's really about creating a lot of the work that we do to try to build those relationships is happening for us while we're doing these marketing pieces,
What do you find is the most effective way to convert that engagement and goodwill into business? Like how often are you doing calls to action, and what is typically an effective call to action for you guys at Marker?
So we do a lot of events. We'll invite people to come so they already know who we are. We invite them to an event. It's very non-threatening.
Like an open house or something else?
Well, you can do an open house, but we'll even do like educational, like seminars, or open houses. You can invite them to an open house, have them come see it. It just depends. I mean, we do kind of both, but we kind of do a lot of educational stuff too.
Like what? Like, give me some examples. Could you?
First time seller, first time buyer.
Okay.
We bring in other vendors, like we'll bring in like 1031 exchange people.
Okay.
Tax planners, whatever. So, and then it's really just a very warm, again, transition. So at these events, they'll come up and say, "Hey, Kevin, how's it going? I saw your video," whatever. And then it's like, just one thing leads to another. I like to kind of approach things very like organically and, as opposed to just hard selling people. And I feel like when you do it that way, for me, in my experience, it's more of a kind of a longer term relationship where people kind of feel comfortable. It's just an easier sort of transition. But of course, we are also picking up the phone. So we're tracking lots of things too. So we send out listing alerts through Real Scout. And so we can see when people are opening up listings, we can see what they're doing, and we'll call and ask them about their, thoughts on a particular property, or they're interested in going and taking a look at something. So we're definitely on the phones, and we have a call center that's calling nonstop, and we're sending out massive amounts of, emails and sending out text messages. And so, I mean, we're definitely doing that. And I think it's definitely okay. I mean, definitely it's something that you definitely need to do. But so there's just some additional pieces. I think if you add what we're talking about to what sort of a lot of the traditional ways of doing things,
right,
you're just going to become a powerhouse. Like you become unstoppable. I mean, really.
Yeah, I can totally see it. I would think that most everybody who's listening can see the hear and see the potential too. So somebody in the community is getting retargeted, is getting custom targeted with these helpful videos that are super hyper local and relevant to their neighborhood, their community where they're living. And then there's some other, and then these videos pop up from you and content pops up from you. And then there's an invitation from you to come to a first time seller workshop or like a tax planning workshop. And that's just like, I've already been getting valuable, helpful information from Kevin. So why wouldn't I go to this little thing that he's inviting me to where I could learn from this other expert or somebody, a tax attorney or whatever it may be? That makes perfect sense. Where do you typically host these kinds of educational events? At your brokerage, at a hotel, at a restaurant? What's a typical good venue for something like this?
All of the above. So one thing that's cool is if let's say you do an interview with at a restaurant, or you do an interview with someone and you're showcasing them, you can maybe set up an event at their office, or you can do it at your office. I mean, lots of different venues that you can do it. I mean, you can do it if you have a really nice listing, you can do it at your listing.
Got it.
We had a penthouse in San Francisco that we did an event at. We hosted an event, and it was a big success. We're also using Call Action, which is a software, and we've connected it with Eventbrite, where if you do an event, you can then create campaigns, like follow-up campaigns, where you continually invite them or remind them and send reminders. But I think another piece to to this is the automation piece. So, with regards to sending out emails, and I mean, you can only be at one place at a time as an agent, right? So, utilizing tools that allow you to automate a lot of things that you do, like if you're sending out mass, email blasts, or even with video, you can edit video, put it in an email, and send it out. And what we'll do is we'll repurpose one video and create small segments. We'll pop up a video, and then we'll send out either through Facebook or through email campaigns, and then use a topic like, Andre talks about this topic, 2-minute clip with Andre on X.
Got it.
That out. So and there's really easy ways to be able to edit and chop those things up, like go through Fiverr or Upwork. We can find people to do those things for you at a very low cost.
Gotcha. Okay. I love this. You and I wouldn't, if you and I could probably fill 3 hours talking about specific examples and tactics. So we have to come to an end on this at some point. We've filled up, pretty much an hour here now. This is super, super valuable. I've got like 2 pages of notes, man. This is really good.
Cool, man. I hope people listening can really, I mean, it's depending on where you're at with the video and the marketing that you're doing. It's really a lot of times, and that's why I love that you're doing a virtual event, because a lot of times you go to events and you just kind of get overwhelmed with information. And so
Right.
what I like to say is just kind of take one or two things that, like what I do is I can take one or two things that I learned that I think are like easy to implement and that are really effective. And I just focus on those one or two things and just try to focus on those things, and as opposed to getting like scrambled and, you know, you've got 100 different things to focus on.
Well, and speaking of implementation, and I appreciate you making this offer, just very generous offer here in the interview. Below this video, you're going to find a link to an implementation plan, or like a marketing plan from Kevin and Marker Real Estate, where you're going to be able to download it and just be able to use it to kind of help you plan out how you're going to implement your 90-day local influencer, local authority marketing plan. So thank you for that, Kevin. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, I got a question for you. When agents come to you and ask you for, answers, mentorship, or guidance around this, and right, they've heard you maybe say something about it, what's a question that you wish they would ask more often that you don't hear agents ask enough about this type of marketing?
That's a really good question. I think probably targeting their sphere, and how to really target their sphere in an effective way that's not, that's a challenge that a lot of agents have, I think, is how do I target my sphere in a way that's not abrasive. So I think we've nailed that. It's really just with providing information and value, and not necessarily talking directly, but really just speaking more broadly and providing general information. It's not necessarily about, doing any transaction at a given time. It's really just about being in front of them so that when they're ready to transact, they know who to call. So,
right.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably one of the most least talked about things. But when we talk about it, it's like an eye opener. Like, wow, I didn't know.
Got it.
So
yeah, it makes perfect sense. Awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Final question for you. This is a fun question. It's going to take me like a second to ask it because I got to set it up. So let's say you wake up tomorrow morning, okay, and you have the power to install this unique piece of software into every real estate agent's brain. Okay. It's going to be like a mental operating system upgrade. Okay. What this software is going to do is it's going to guarantee that every real estate agent is 100% consistent moving forward, 100% consistent with 3 habits. Okay. You get to pick the 3 habits, and you pick the 3 habits based upon what you know is, if a real estate agent sticks to these 3 habits, for the most part, pretty much anywhere in the nation, in any market, if they stick to these 3 habits, they're going to increase the likelihood of them being successful in real estate and having a fulfilling good career. Okay. So what would be those 3 habits that you would install in every real estate agent in sort of like a mental operating system upgrade?
That's really tough. I would say, well, you mentioned it, but consistency.
Okay.
If I can use that, I'd like to use it, because I think a lot of times agents, we do well, we close. This is a problem with a lot of top agents. We do well, we close deals, and then we take our foot off the gas.
Mm-hmm.
So finding a way to maintain intensity in whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're an individual agent or you're a team leader or whatever, you're a brokerage owner, maintaining the same level of intensity. And sometimes that may include finding help elsewhere, not necessarily like, I'm not talking about like counseling or anything. I'm talking about finding people that can help you. Okay.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
Consistency, intensity, maintaining intensity, and automation, leveraging technology. So, I mean, it's general, but I would say those 3 things.
I'm writing that down. Very cool. Appreciate that, my man. Well, for those of you who are listening, if you're watching on camera, you can click on the link below. Go and ask to join their Facebook group, Real Closers. It's a fantastic, phenomenal real estate group on Facebook. It has a lot of great content. It has a fantastic community. I can't say enough good things about that. So go check them out there. Go join that, plug into that community, free and available for you to go start benefiting from right now. And it gives you a chance to mastermind with a lot of real estate agents who are doing great things. And then also you can go to markerrealestate.com to get more information about Kevin's brokerage. Okay. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more maybe about how you can work with Marker Real Estate, then there's also going to be a link to that below this video where it's going to take you to their careers page. And then also below this video, there's going to be a link to the marketing, kind of a marketing guide or kind of a starter, how to start implementation plan that Kevin has so generously offered here on this interview today. You're going to be able to get your hands on that as well. So you lucky duck, you've got like 3-4 things to go do right now. Go do them all because it's nothing but good things for you. And like Kevin said, I really, and I want to echo this, I really hope that you guys take what you've learned and commit to just like taking 1, 2, 3 steps, like really starting to implement this, because learning about this, you know, I don't think there's anything more painful than learning about something awesome, getting excited about it, knowing about it, and then not doing it, and knowing in the back of your mind, you could be doing this, you could be getting this outcome, you could be getting this result, this benefit, you could be making this impact, and then not doing it. I think that it ends up breeding this like almost like deep self-resentment, right? Or self-loathing. Don't do that to yourself, right? You got access to this content here for free because of the generosity and the support of really fantastic speakers here on the summit, like Kevin. So you kind of owe it to yourself now that you have this information to be a good steward with it and go do something with it. Go do something with it. It's going to do good things for you. It's going to do good things for your community, your family, and future generations if you're wise with your money, okay? So take this and implement. Promise yourself you're going to do that. Take a few steps on this. Kevin, thank you so much, man, for being here. Thank you so much for showing up. And on behalf of myself and everybody here at the summit, thank you for being such an incredible supporter, multiplier, and value contributor, man. This has been incredibly valuable. I so do hope that people, the agents that have heard this interview today, do take this and go do something with it. I sure do hope so they do. And if you guys do, reach out to Kevin and let him know what an impact you made. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you and just hear how you've taken what he's shared here and implemented it. So Kevin, my man, thank you so much.
Thank you, Andre. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much. And congratulations to you and everything you're doing to help the real estate community. And thanks for doing that. And just happy to be here with you and with all your great listeners, man. Thanks.
Thank you.